Nam Shrishtam Manamati Sachiputtamatra Surupam Rupam Tasya Gajamuri Purim Maturim Gostuvatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Oho Radhika Madhavasam Rapto Yasya Patita Kripaya Shri Guru Natosmi Gurave Gaurachandrai Radhikai Tadai Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktai Tad Bhaktai Namo Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Hemabadivitjavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Bhaktya-vina aparadarakshe Chirastakamaika Vivamaisam Sharanam Prabhana Vrinse Namaste Chanaravinam Vrinse Namaste Chanaravinam Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Hey Krishna, Hey Radha, Hey Sanketi Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Tavevasmi, Tavevasmi Najivami Tayavana Jivikyaya Devi Tam Namam Charantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali. My heart's like flowers thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, Asmadiya Paramaraditam Guru Padavana. Nityalila Parvishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtotara Sutta Shishimad, Rupan Gacharya Varya, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami. Secondly, I bow down thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Guru's Guru, and his Guru, and his Guru, and all the members of our Sri Rupananga Gaudiya Guru Parampara Bhakti Yoga tradition. And thirdly, I offer my pranam to all the Sangha devotees. So it is a matter of great fortune and the causeless mercy of Guru and of Supreme Lord that for 5 days we have been discussing Nam Tattva, the principle of Nam, the divine holy name. He said in the Brihad Naradiya Purana, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalao Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiya Anyata. In this age of Kali, this present astrological period, which began 5,000 years ago and continues for another 427,000 years. During this age, all types of spiritual practice, the performance of yajna, of puja, of dhyan, everything becomes weak. So in this age of Kali, only the chanting of the divine names has the power to purify the heart, liberate the living entities from this world, and bestow upon them the Param Purushartha, the ultimate goal of life, the eternal divine love, to be engaged in the transcendental service of the beautiful Swarup of the Supreme Lord in one's eternal spiritual form. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam. It was said 3 times. Why? To refute the concept that by performing karmas, you can become elevated. By performing dhyan, only philosophical speculations, or even by yoga sadhana, by these 3 paths, they will not be effective in this age. So nasteva, nasteva, na asti eva. Na means not. Asti means there is. Eva certainly. There is certainly not. There is certainly not. There is certainly not. Another way to transcend the powerful influence of the waves of Maya. So when a person chants the divine name, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, or any of the divine names of God, Govinda, Gopal, Giridhari, Madhusudan, Radharaman, so many names of God. The unlimited powers of God are in those names. But if in our life, in our conception, we have certain inauspicious activities or attitudes, these are called the Nam Aparats. Then, though the power is there in every name, but the name, being a person, withholds the power. Apa means vanquish, and Rag means pleasure. The activities and the conceptions, the attitudes which displease the Supreme Lord in the form of His name are called aparad. So though the name is supremely powerful and can lift one above this world immediately right now and situate you in your eternal loving service to the Lord, yet we may not be experiencing that due to these 10 types of aparad. So in Padma Purana, the 10 types of Nam Aparad have been described. In regard to Nam Tattva, we should know that there are 2 types of name. Mukhya Nam and Gauna Nam. Primary and secondary. The word Gauna in Sanskrit means secondary, and it also means Gauna in connection with the gunas. So, the names of God, which are in relationship to the gunas of this world. For example, Creator. God is the Creator. Shrishtikarta in Sanskrit. This name is connected to the world. So it's Gauna Nam, secondary name. Paramatma, the Super Soul, who is within and maintaining every atom of the universe, every moment. Paramatma, it's Gauna Nam, secondary name. Connected with the gunas. Allah, Great One, Buddha, intelligent, and so on. These names, they are secondary. And primary names refer to the qualities, the activities, the pastimes of God, not related to this world, in His own world. His own world. We tend to think of God as being creator and savior and everything, but this is egocentric, related to our position as being conditioned souls in the material world. But the names which are God-centric. Krishna in his world. There he is, Nandanandan, playing as the son of Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Nandan, playing as in the lap of Mother Yashoda, drinking of breast milk. There he is Subal Sakha, the friend of the cowboy boy Subal and the Madhumaka. And he is Gopi Jana Vallabha, the lover of the cowboy girls. So such names, they are called Muktinan, primary names. So the secondary names, they have a power to liberate you from this world. But only the primary names have the power to bring you into the divine lila and inundate the heart with the rasa, with the divine mellows of transcendental love. When people suffer in this world, after some time they think, oh, I must be spiritual, and they want to be liberated from this worldly suffering, mukti, nirvana. But only to be liberated from worldly suffering is really not what the soul wants. The soul wants love. The soul wants love. So only to be liberated from everything and enter into the emptiness of Brahman. Never satisfy your heart. So now awakens the swarup of the soul. And the divine eternal love and service for Krishna. And the name will give this. Oh, just now, today or tomorrow. For those who will chant without making 10 types of aparadha. So the first 6 from the Padma Purana we have discussed. Now we're discussing the last 4. Okay? So the seventh offense to the holy name is called Namno Baladhyasya hi papa buddhi na vindate tasya yamahi shuddhi. It means that a person heard that chanting the mantra of the divine names destroys all karma, sinful activities. So then he thinks, okay, now I have a license. Now my license, I can do any simple thing I want, and afterwards I'll just say Hare Krishna, and there'll be no karma. So, actually, to do this is not pap, it's not a sin. It is aparadha. Karmic reactions are very easy to destroy by the power of the name. But if one will abuse the power of the name for some worldly advantage, then Nam is not foolish. A mantra is not a sound vibration with no face. A mantra is a person with feelings. Reality has personality. Write it down in your heart in golden letters. Reality has personality. Reality is not a thing, or an energy, or a force. It's a person with feelings. It's much smarter than we are. So don't think that you can use a mantra just to destroy the reactions of your sins and continue doing foolish things. It will not be pap, it will be aparadha. And the reaction for aparadha is stronger reaction than the reaction of the karmic reactions of sins even. So be careful for this. You know, we discussed the history of Ajamil. Though Ajamil had chanted the name of Narayan again and again, and still he was doing sinful activities, but he was not committing this offense because he was not conscious of the power of the name. You see? So though he continued to be sinful, after chanting, it was not a conscious thing, so it was not aparadha. He remained on the level of Nam and Bas. Then, so the 8th offense. The 8th offense is Dharma vrata tyaga bhutadi sarva shubha kriya samyam api pramada. Shubha Kriya Samyam, to consider that the chanting of the divine names is equal to the performance of Shubha Kriya, pious activities. What type of pious activities? Dharma. The performance of Dharma. You know, in the Vedic times, there were great personalities who strictly followed Dharma. Like Dronacharya. Dronacharya was a Brahmin, and his Dharma, his duty in this world, was to teach. And his field of expertise was warfare, martial arts. So there was a prediction that the son of King Drupad, Drishtadyumna, when he grows up, that boy will be the cause of the death of Dronacharya. He will kill him. So one day, Dronacharya, new students were coming to his school, and one boy came. Drishtadyumna. So what should he do? Yes, what's your name? Drishtadyumna. It was a prophecy that someone called Drishtadyumna will kill me. Should I teach him martial arts or not? Now, if you have selfishness, if you have partiality, if your mind is absorbing dualities, then you say, no, I'm sorry, you have to go somewhere else. No admission in my school. What is Dharma? Dharma means you do your duty without attachment to the results. Being equipoised in the midst of happiness and distress, loss and gain, victory and defeat. Then your consciousness rises to the sattvic. By Dharma we can come to sattva. This is Dharma. So Dronacharya will have thinking, yes, come, I teach you. It's my duty to teach you everything I know. And the boy became very expert. And later, in the battle of Kurukshetra, this is described in Bhagavad Gita, he killed Dronacharya. So what it means to follow Dharma? What kind of noble sentiment is there? The dignity of Dharma. It is a wonderful thing and is glorified throughout Vedas and Puranas and held in highest esteem. But the chanting of Nam is superior ethic, a superior morality to following Dharma. If you think that they're equal, it becomes an offense to Nam. Ajamil, the Yamadutas, the messengers of death, wanted to take him away and take him for punishment at the end of his life. But the Vishnuduta said, no, he's free from all karma, he's pure. Why? Because the Yamadutas, they were looking at him from the perspective of worldly ethics, worldly morality, Dharma. But the Vishnudutas saw that beyond the covering of each person, the covering of this physical body, the covering of the mind and ego, there is Atma there. And when the Atma touches the transcendental Dharma of Bhakti, then he transcends the limitations and the jurisdiction of worldly Dharma. And so Ajamil was outside of the jurisdiction of Yamaraj, the god of death, outside the jurisdiction of karmic reaction. So to consider that there's some similarity or parallel or equality between Nam, the transcendental Dharma of the soul to serve God, with worldly morality, it is apparent. So Dharma, Tyag. Tyag means renunciation. To think that to renounce the things of this world is a higher Dharma than chanting the holy name and performing Bhakti. It's an offense. What is this renunciation? Nothing belongs to you. How will you renounce it? If you go up to a bank, you stand outside the bank and say, I give up all this money in this bank. You're mad. This is not your money. What is renunciation? Nothing. Attachment and detachment. To this world, two sides of the same coin. We are not attached, we are not detached. We don't try to exploit, and we don't try to renounce. Bhakti is not the path of exploitation, Bhakti is not the path of renunciation, Bhakti is the path of dedication. We don't give up anything, we don't enjoy anything. We take everything And we use it in the service of the owner of everything. Ishavasya medam sarvam Ishupanishads. All things in reality belong to God. Use it in the service for the pleasure and happiness of its rightful owner. Any type of attachment or detachment is Maya. Only the path of dedication is beyond illusion. So dharma, tyaga, vrata. Vrata means the performance of vows. Huta. Huta means the various types of yajna and fire sacrifice. Dharma, vrata, tyaga, huta, adi, sarva. And there are many other types of shubha kriya. Planting trees, opening schools and hospitals and all of these things. They're all auspicious activities. They bring about an worldly upliftment, worldly advantages in the karma of that living being. But the devotee, his activities of bhakti, they don't take him up, they don't take him down. They take him out. Beyond. So, never consider, never entertain even the slight trace of the possibility within your mind that the chanting of the divine names is equal to any other type of practice. Otherwise, now Prabhu will... You are indifferent to him, he will reciprocate. And he will be indifferent to you. Yayatamam prapadente. Krishna reciprocate. What mood you have, I have the same mood. So, when one gives up this thought, then one thing here, Shubhakriya samyam api pramada, even if api pramada means inattentively, even if inattentively or inadvertently you make equality between the chanting of the name and the performance of pious activities. What does that mean? How can you accidentally do it? Inattentively. If you chant the holy name in order to get something material, and it will come. Nam is powerful. If you want something material and you chant the holy name for that, then you are inattentively, inadvertently making this aparad. Why? Because the facilities and advantages of this world can be attained by the performance of Shubha Karma, pious activities. So if you use the name to get the result that karmas give you, then you are equalizing the name with the Shubha Karma. You see, inattentive without knowing. And so it will be Nama Parad. But Nama Parad has the power. The offense to the name has the power to fulfill all desires. So at least if someone is taking shelter of the name, gradually, they have a chance to develop. Then, ninth offense. The ninth offense to the holy name has been described. Asraddadane vimukhet pyashrindati yaschopadesha shivanam aparadaha. It means, literally, yaschopadesha, to give instruction to a person who has not developed faith in the name, who is vimukh, who is in a state of apathy to the service of God, who is indifferent to the loving service of God. One should not instruct them about the confidential nature of the name. In particular, the specific meaning of this offense is, any devotee should not give initiation into mantra to a person who has not been tested. When a prospective disciple approaches Guru, then the first anga of 64 angas of bhakti is called Diksha. No. Initiation is not the first anga of bhakti. The first anga of bhakti is Guru Pad Ashraya. The prospective disciple takes shelter of a prospective Guru. And they spend some time together, hearing, and the prospective disciple serves his Guru. And Guru is watching and understanding the personality of the disciple, and the disciple is watching and understanding the personality of the Guru also, to his limited capacity. Actually, the personality of a Guru is like endless ocean. You cannot imagine how it is. But it's something. And so they make a relation. And as the disciple is serving his Guru, he starts to understand how God himself is speaking through Guru to him. In other words, he has some question, some doubt, and even without posing the question, the answer is coming from Guru. It starts to confirm, oh, I understand now that God who is in my heart, who I cannot hear his promptings, I cannot hear God's voice in my heart because I'm so covered by illusion, he's now speaking to me through the mouth of this saint. And so, as the prospective disciple is doing Guru Padishah, serving the spiritual master, he begins to become aware of the Guru Tattva, the principle of Guru acting through that Vaishnava. And then the fruit of this is that Guru gives mantra. Because now the disciple has proven himself through humble and submissive service, through dedication. And he's shown he has faith, and then Guru can give mantra. This offense has been described, to just give mantra to anyone and everyone, whether they have any understanding of what a Guru is, or what a mantra is, or what Krishna is. Just everywhere. Initiation. This has been forbidden. Why? To stop persons making a business out of bhakti. Bhakti is not a bit, because when the Guru gives initiation to the disciple will give some Guru Dakshina. He'll give some money or some gifts as well, like this. It is part of the tradition. So if a person thinking, oh, this chanting of the holy names is a very good business, I'll go everywhere, initiate everyone, and every time I give initiation they'll give me some money, and in this way I'll make a very good business. So it is a great offense. It's a great offense to try to engage the paraphernalia of transcendence in the service of the physical plane. It's the other way around. We should engage everything of this physical plane in the service of transcendence. Like Param Gurudev, he made one temple. And devotees, they went here and there doing kirtan, they collected so much money. And he got all the money, he said, now Krishna's birthday is coming. Spend it all on flowers. And boga for making a feast. So they spend everything. If you buy a flower, you decorate the temple, and whatever, 6 hours later, all the flowers, they're finished, and you throw them away. One might say, it's a complete waste of money. He just spent like $10,000 on flowers, just for them to be there for a few hours. What is this? Never think like this. Whatever you have, just use it all to glorify God. Even if it's all over in 2 minutes, no problem. Use all the things of this world in Krishna's service. What will happen? More will come. More and more and more. Krishna will send more and more. So don't be miserly. Don't hold on to anything or think this is mine. What about my life and security and everything? There's no security in this world. At any second you can die, no one can save you. The only security is in the service of God. So take everything you have and use it in Krishna's service joyfully. And you'll see how your heart is dancing. Your feet are not touching the ground even. This is Bhakti. So, Bhakti, the holy name, should never be used for any material purpose. Then, the 10th offense to the name. Shutvapi nama mahatmyam ya pritiro hito damaha aham mamadi paramo namni sopya paradakut. This is the tricky one. We're all chanting, but we have to see very carefully if we are committing the last aparad. It means Shutva Pina Mahatmyam. Although you have heard about the glories of the divine name, but Ya Priti Rahito Damaha, that person who remains without affection for chanting, who remains without priti, without feelings of affection for the divine name. And how is that absence of affection for the name manifested? Aham mamadi. By holding on to the bodily conception of life. Aham mameti. I am mine. I am this body. I am this mind. And the things related to my body and mind belong to me. Holding on to the conception of aham mameti, I am mine, is the symptom of the absence of affection for the name. Because Nam wants to introduce you to the divine realm. But as long as we consciously hold on to the bodily conception of life, then we cannot go. If I want to give you some sweets, but your hands are full of rocks, put down the rocks and take the sweets. Give up the false ego. You can do it. Krishna said in Gita there are two things. Ketra and Ketragya. The field, Ketra, and Ketragya, the knower of the field. In other words, you are the consciousness. And everything that you're conscious of is the field, it's not you. It's like a man standing in a field sees the field. There's the man, he's seeing the field. So here, the man means you. You are the pure consciousness. And everything that you're aware of, including this body, mind and senses that you think is you, is not you. This is also Ketragya. Sorry, Ketra, the field. And you are Ketragya, the knower of the field. So in Yoga Vashishtha, it is said, as easy as it is to pluck a flower, as easy it is to close your eyes, that's how easy it is to let go of your ahankara, false ego. If you want, you can do it like that. The problem is, do we want? So at least at the time when you chant Harinam, at that time, die to live. Take your mala and chant Hare Krishna and die to live. Who you are, then just imagine it's your funeral, right? They put you in the hole, covered you with dirt, and everyone went home, okay? It's over. It's over. Die. Be dead. It's going to happen anyway. It's happening, it's going to happen anyway. So when you chant Harinam, die to live. Give up all body identification and completely. The consciousness is taking shelter of the mind and taking shelter of the body. So you cannot exactly give it up because you cannot be without shelter. So let your consciousness take complete shelter of the sound of God's name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Be in the shelter of the vibration of God's name. And as one does that Sharanagati, Maharaj will speak about that this morning. Agati means without refuge. Sharana Agati. To take shelter of Krishna without having refuge anywhere else. It means exclusive shelter. And then you have to what? Then you have to walk through the desert. You should know that in the first stage, when you are giving up the absorption in the external things, in which you may have taste, but still the taste does not come for transcendence. It's like, that's a dry time, walking through the desert. And you may go a little way and then come back, chanting for 1 hour, and then you come back. Okay. No, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5, go through that desert. And keep going. Have faith. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, my heart is like a desert. Everything is so dry. But I kept chanting. And then, after some time, a drop of nectar began to fall into my soul. And it captivated me. And then I began to tremble. What's happening? I don't know. My intelligence failed me. I could not think. But something irresistible was pulling me, was drawing me. I could not see what it was. But the name some irresistible sweetness was attracting me, and I could not resist, so I surrendered. Yes, said, yes, take me. And then I thought, I'm becoming mad, what's happening? And after that, I saw the beautiful form of Krishna. So when the devotee comes in this stage, he realizes the form, and then the qualities of Krishna begin to emanate, and his associates, and asakti. Attachment comes, internal attachment to God. In that stage, the devotee, they want to speak about something of the higher stages of chanting. Then they do mantramayi upasana. Mantramayi upasana means to take a verse from Shastra, which describes a moment from the Leela of Krishna, and begin to meditate on that moment described in that verse. And the name, you are giving suggestion from your heart, and the name is Chintamani, means wish-fulfilling jewel, and the name will begin to manifest that Leela. So, we have concluded our discussion of 10 Nama-aparats. Now I want to discuss some Leela of Krishna, particularly to give some impression, some sanskar. You may not be ready now, but you must hear Harikatha and collect the impressions, so that as you go deeper into your meditation, there are so many directions you can go, but you go in the direction of the sanskars, the impressions which have been kept in the heart by the association of Vaishnavas. So I want to tell one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Madhu, can you make it on the screen? Thank you. So, I want to speak about one thing only. Kataksha Tattva. Kataksha Tattva. The Tattva of Kataksh. Kataksh means glancing. Throughout the Vedic scriptures, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, so much is said about the glancing of Krishna, the merciful glance of Krishna, the glances of his associates. So I want to say something about the Kataksh Tattva glancing. You know, the eyes can speak. That is called Nektra Katha. The Katha of the eyes. When there's love in the heart, then without words, when a lover and beloved look into each other's eyes, then they exchange so many messages. This is Nektra Katha. So, devotees are doing puja. They learn verses to help with their meditation and puja, and it nourishes also their chanting of Harinam. So there's a famous verse for Rupa Dhyan, for meditating on the form of Krishna. When the heart becomes clean and the form of Krishna awakens in the heart, then the devotee will utter such verses and it will become more clear. Fulen, this is in your sangbook, you know. Fulendi varakanti mindu vadanam bhavatan sapriyam Srivat sankarudara kostabadaram pitambaram sundaram Gopinam nayanat palajkiranam gopasanghavitam Govindam kalavenu varnapanam divyam kabhusham bhaje. This is Dhyan mantra, meditation mantra. Describes Fulendi varakanti. How is the complexion of Krishna? Like a blue lotus flower. Fulendi varakanti mindu varnam Bhavatam sapriyam. His hair is decorated with peacock feathers. Srivatsanka, the mark of Srivat is on his chest, Kaustubhamani. And he's wearing the golden pitambara, golden cloth over his body. Very wonderful. Radhika is golden and she wears blue, as if being embraced by Krishna. And Krishna is blue and wearing golden to remind him of the embrace of Radhika. Radhika's eyes are blue. And Krishna's eyes are round, it's a tinge of gold. Neela sona janetro. So they are always absorbed in love for each other. Gopinam nainut palachitatanam go gopasanghabritam. Here it's saying that the gopis are doing archan, but they're not doing archan like we do, offering giwiks, the deeps and incense. Gopinam nainut palachitam. They're worshipping Krishna through the deep of their eyes. You know, when a pujari offers the deeps to the deity, they offer 4 times to the feet, then 2 times to the waist, once around the face, and then 7 times around the body, like this. So gopis are doing archan to Krishna, looking everywhere. How beautifully he is from head to toe. Sometimes they see one part of Krishna, his eyes, or his lips, or his hand, and they become absorbed in that, they forget everything else. So, this is Kataks. Seeing the beauty of Krishna. The gopis are seeing how he's like Cupid. He's like Kamadev. It's as if the god of love, whom no one has seen, has appeared right before their eyes. So this verse is very nice. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a better verse. It's spoken by Mathuramanis, the ladies of Mathura. They said, Prata brajat brajata avishatas tasayam gobiya konasya nisham konanishasya nisham yavenu nirgamya turnam abala patipuri punya pasanti sasmitamuka sadayavalokan. It means that in the morning and also in the evening. In the morning, Krishna is leaving the village of Braja and going out to the forests. And in the morning he's going out, and in the evening he's coming back. And in the day, the gopis are feeling so much separation from him. At every moment they remember him and feel, oh Krishna, where are you? So when it's time for him to leave the village, then they think, perhaps I can see him for a moment. So, Turnam Nigamna, they run to the roofs of their houses, to their windows, to their balconies, to their garden gates. Some of them go out of the village and hide in a kunj there. And they wait for Krishna to be walking past with his friends. And then they look at him. And Krishna glances back. Pasyanti sasmitamakam. And they see Krishna. Pasyanti sasu. They see his smiling face. But how is his smiling face? Sadayavalokan. His eyes are full of compassion, daya, compassion. So, the first verse we mentioned, gopis are worshipping Krishna by their glance. But in this verse, Krishna, he's looking at the gopis with compassion. That means he's looking at them and by his eyes he's saying, please meet with me secretly, somewhere. If you don't, I will die. So he has a very pathetic mood and he's glancing towards the gopis. So in this way, the Shastra gives us some verses upon which the devotee can chant and meditate on the beautiful Netrakatha, the talking of the eyes of Krishna and his beloved gopis. So I've described how gopis look at Krishna and how Krishna looks towards gopis. But this verse we're going to describe today, of Srimad Bhagavatam, describes both. The exchange both ways, how it takes place. In this verse, Krishna has been out playing with his friends at Govardhan the whole day. And the gopis have been kept in their homes and having to do their housework and so on. And they're waiting desperately for Krishna to return. And when they see the dust rising outside the village, because thousands of cows are coming, so the air becomes full of dust. And they hear all the bells of the cows ringing, and the flutes and bugles of cowherd boys blowing, and singing and laughter. It's like a whole festival. And they know, oh, now Krishna's returning. And then they can hear the sound of Krishna's flute. And the breeze is blowing and carrying the fragrance of Krishna's body, which is like a mixture of sandalwood paste, kumkum, lotus pollen, and aguru, and camphor, like 4 next to it. More beautiful than that. The fragrance of Krishna is coming in the breeze. They can smell it. And the sound of Krishna's flute is coming in their ears. And their eyes are getting jealous. The eyes are jealous of their ears and their nose. My ears are touching Krishna, my nose is touching Krishna, but my eyes have no opportunity. And their mind is shy. Oh, I should not go and look. And they're afraid. They have fear of society. But the eyes, they're so jealous of the nose and the ears that the eyes just run away by themselves. Okay, mind, if you don't want to go, but I'm going. And their eyes are looking in the direction of where Krishna is coming from. And they come to their balconies and from behind trees. And then Krishna is coming and the dust clears. And through the dust they see his face. Looks very sweet now. So it's said here in this verse, Pitva mukunda mukha saradam akshi bringai. Pitva means drinking. Drinking the saragam, the nectar of the lotus of Krishna's face. Why is Krishna's face like a lotus? Because he's very gentle. And the lotus flower is soft. So the softness of Krishna is expressed in his face. And also because he's been playing all day, in the hot sun he's a bit tired. So his face is a bit tired, drooping a little. So it looks very sweet. And just as a lotus flower has pollen, you know, the dust of pollen inside. So because Krishna is perspiring, and the dust raised by the hooves of the cows went into the air and is stuck to the dust on Krishna's face. Oh, this is mantramaya upasana. Deeply remembering the beauty of Krishna's form and chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Become lost in that. And so here it says Akshi Bringai. Akshi means eyes and Bringa means bumblebees. You know, bumblebees, when they see flowers, they become very excited. Even they have such a vision. Flowers have ultraviolet markings on them that human eyes cannot see. But the eyes of bees can see them. So when you see the field of flowers, you see it one way, but when the bees see it, it's something more extraordinary. And the flowers which have more honey have more ultraviolet markings which are invisible to us, so the bees can see where to go. And when they see, they can see the flower which has the most nectar inside. And then what happens to the bees? They start humming, and they become ecstatic. And they rush there. So here, Akshi Bringai, the eyes of the gopis become like those bees. So happy. And looking towards the face of Krishna, and drinking the beauty of his face. Actually, as Krishna's coming, his curling hair has fallen over his face. And they cannot see his face. So they're looking and they're trying to see, but they cannot see. But Krishna knows, from different hiding places, gopis are looking. So very mercifully, he takes his little finger and he catches the curls of his hair. He tucks them in his turban. Like opening a curtain, like this. And then they can see. The eyes become so eager to Pitva mukunda mukha saragam akshi bringais. And then what happens? Joho virahajam. They give up. Tapam joho virahajam. Tap means burning. During the day they were burning in separation from Krishna. Like a fish out of water is in anxiety. Without Krishna they feel like they can give up their life. They've been burning in separation. But when they see Him, then Tapam Joho Virahajam, they give up that burning, which is Virahaja, coming from their separation. Braja Yoshita, Braja means Braja and Yoshita means women. Hani means the day. The separation that they felt throughout the day. In separation from Krishna. Atatiyat bhavan anikananam Truti yugayate Tvamapasyatam Kutila kuntalam Shrimukam jate Jada udikshatam Pashta kritisam. When Krishna is out during the day, then gopis feel like 1 second lasts thousands of years. Time has stopped. So when he finally returns and they see his beautiful face, even when their eyes blink, then they give a curse to Lord Brahma. Pakshmakrit drisham. Oh, you are Pakshmakrit, you have made eyelids. You are not Rasik. If you were Rasik, you would make us gopis like fish. You know, fish have no eyelids, they're just there. You should have made us like fish without eyelids, that we can look at Krishna without blinking. So they see Krishna, and then he says, Tat Sat Kritim Samadhiganya Vivesha Goshtam. And Krishna accepts Satkritim means Krishna accepts Satkritim, their offering. He accepts their glance as he goes into the village. And how is that glance? Savrida, Hasa, Vinayam, Yadabhanga Moksham. That those glances are Savrida, with shyness. Hasa, with laughter, smiling. And Vinayam means with submission. So the deep meaning here is when Krishna is coming, then the gopis, they see him coming. And they glance and they smile. If a person knows rasa, bhakti rasa, you know that rasa is the combination of 5 emotional ingredients. The sthayi bhav, the foundation of your love. In this case, madhuras, the romantic mood is the sthayi bhav. Then there is vibhav, the things that stimulate that mood. In this case, the sound of Krishna's flute. And his smiling face, his qualities, are all stimulating the love of gopis, their romantic mood. Then you have anubhav. Anubhav means the reactions, how that person responds. And sattvic bhav, the involuntary reactions of the body, such as the flowing of tears, the choking of the voice in ecstasy, the standing of hairs, becoming stunned. They're sattvic bhavs. And the 5th ingredient, the vyabhachari bhav, sensury bhav. It means in the ocean of your foundational sentiment, romantic love, waves are coming. 33 different types of transitory emotions that rise and fall like waves. Sometimes those waves are complementary and they mix together. And sometimes they're contradictory and they fight with each other. And one becomes internally conflicted. So when sthayi bhav, vibhav, anubhav, sattvic bhav and vyabhachari bhav, these 5 ecstatic emotional ingredients combined together, it produces an experience, and that is called rasa, bhakti rasa. Unless you understand what is rasa, you can never understand what is God. Because the Vedas say, raso vai saha sa evayam labdhanandi bhavati. The ultimate reality is the embodiment of rasa. The ecstatic flavors of divine love. Astonishing. And when the soul attains that, then anandi bhavati, then he becomes happy. Don't think that in mukti, in nirvana, in moksha, that is Brahma, Parabrahma. There, in that liberation, there is no rasa. Emptiness. But beyond the Leela of Krishna is the beyond liberation. It is a post-liberation experience. Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasad, after you realize Brahman, Mad Bhaktim Lavate Param, after you're liberated, then you'll understand what Bhakti So, here, what does it mean? Glancing and smiling are anubhavs, they're reactions which reveal the feelings in the heart. So glancing reveals the sensory bhav called autsukya. Autsukya means eagerness, the inability to tolerate the passing of time. And because the gopis have the inability to tolerate the passing of time without Krishna, they're looking. And smiling is the anubhav which indicates the sensory bhav of harsha, jubilation, joy. That when they catch Krishna's attention, Krishna turns in their direction, then they smile. So here it's called satkritim, offerings. It's called offerings because, just as if someone wants to make an offering, then they have servants. So in this example, gopis have 2 servants. And these 2 servants are making 2 offerings. The offering to Krishna is the loving glance. And the servant who is carrying the offering is the sensory bhav, autsukya, eagerness. And their smile is the second flower offering. And the servant who is making this offering is the harsha, the jubilation they feel in their heart. So, as Krishna was coming, and then he turned in the direction of one gopi. With eagerness, she made the offering of the flower of her glance. And with harsha in the heart, she began to smile. But Krishna is very tricky. Gopis are looking at him with the feeling, please accept the offering of these 2 flowers, this is all I have in my home. But when that gopi looked at Krishna, what did he do? He turned away. Because Krishna is very tricky. If you offer something to Krishna, he's not so interested. He prefers that when you're not looking that he'll steal. Because stolen things taste better. If Madhya Yashoda will give butter to Krishna, isn't it taken? But when no one's looking, if you go sneaking, and then he'll steal the butter, then it's very delicious. Just like gopis of Vrindavan, they're not married to Krishna. Rukmini is married to Krishna, Satyabhama and others. Jambavan offered Jambavati to Krishna, please accept my daughter as your wife, and he accepted. But that which is given is not as delicious as that which is stolen. So in Vrindavan, no gopi is given to Krishna. Krishna, he steals them from their homes. This is Parikya Rasa. The stolen things are more tasteful for Krishna. So when they tried to offer these flowers of their glance and their smile, Krishna looked away. And then that gopi became shy. And with her left hand she covered her smile. And with the right hand she took her veil and covered her glance like this and turned away. She became shy. It is as if the emotion of lajja, shyness, was like a Sakhi, a friend who came there and said, oh, hide these gifts from Krishna. And she hid them. She covered her face and but then another emotion came. Here it is said, Savrida, Vrida shyness, Hasa jubilation. And Vidaya means the submission. That gopi then thinks, no, I should be submissive. Why should I turn away from him? So the emotion of Vinaya, submissiveness came, like a Sakhi, and began to quarrel with the Sakhi of Lajja, shyness. And that gopi was conflicted. So here you have a Bhav Shabalya. It means when opposing emotions come and start fighting in the heart. When the devotee is chanting Harinam deeply and Bhav begins to come, then he can taste these ingredients. The romantic mood, the anubhavs, the vibhavs, and they mix together, becomes nama rasa, the rasa of the name. So then, there was a fight between the feeling of submission to Krishna and shyness from him. And then, at Gopi, the submission was winning, and the Gopi, she peeped. And then Krishna, he took one calf, And he twisted the tail of the calf. And the calf went jumping in the direction of that gopi. It was a pretext for Krishna to come. And Krishna walked up right in front of her face and picked up his calf and looked in her eyes. She lowered her face and Krishna took his flute and touched her chin with his flute and lifted up her face and looked in her eyes. And in this way, Krishna stole her offerings. He stole the offering of her glance, he stole the offering of her smile, and he stole the offering of her shyness. So it said, Tat Sat Kritim. Krishna accepted the offering. That means he's thinking, your loving feelings for me, this is my greatest treasure. So I'm taking these offerings and I'm placing them with great honor upon the altar of my heart and keeping them forever. And then Krishna walked away. So, this is a Kataksh Tattva. A glance is not just a glance, but behind it there are so many feelings, emotion and exchange between Krishna and the gopis. So when the devotee becomes deeply absorbed in Harinam and begins to realize Krishna's form and qualities, at that time they begin Mantamaya Upasana. And gradually Bhav appears and then Namaras appears. Pri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai, Varasanwal ki Jai, Jai Jai Sri Ram. If a person will actually be following Rupa Goswami, at that time they will think, I am not looking at Krishna. Who is looking? Radhika is looking. And I am looking at Radhika looking at Krishna. If you want to enter into these pastimes, try to surrender completely to your Guru Pradapana, to your spiritual master. Try to give up all your own material ideas and sanskars and feelings. Become empty like Krishna's flute. Krishna's flute produces beautiful music. Why? Because there's nothing inside. And Krishna's feeling is, he can fill the flute with the feelings of his heart. So empty yourself totally. And hear Harikatha from Gurudeva and pure Vaishnavas. And pray to them. Oh Prabhu, oh Gurudev, the nectar which is flowing in your heart, please, my heart is empty and dry and desolate. Please bless me that your feelings will come. Your feelings are the feelings of Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami. A very specific kind of love which is extremely rare. By the mind it cannot be understood, but by hearing, with complete submission and surrender, with humility and intense hankering, and one-pointed attention to your goal of life, then this Nama Rasa will come and fill your heart. This is why Krishna lifted Govardhan. He was telling the whole world, don't worship this one and that one and this. Give everything to me. Give all things to me. Give your attention to me. Be one-pointed only. So when you fix the goal of your life, Radha Dasya, to serve the lotus feet of Radharani. And when one is extremely humble and having intense hankering by these three things, unpretentious humility, intense hankering, and one-pointed attention to the goal, then this divine rasa can be attained. wait till your next life. From today. No, yesterday. And you will have no regret. Krishna will manage to take care of all things in your life. You will be perfect. Gaur Premanand. So you can note down this verse and learn. You have to do a little work. Two things are there, sadhana and kripa. Without mercy you cannot do anything. But without sadhana, kripa will not come. You should do both things are there. So, right? And you learn, and you can sing. Pittva mukundam kasara gamakshivendais. Dhapam javedam prajayoshita. Tatsat kritim samadhigamya viveshakostam. Savidas vinayam yadapanga moksha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. You chant. And sometimes stop chanting and utter a verse. And then again chant. And in this way too, you will nourish each other. And you become in the stage of avesh, absorption. Become completely absorbed. Realization comes when you are in avesh, absorption. In your ordinary waking consciousness, you will not realize anything. You will not realize anything. When you're in avesh, one pointed, your attention is fully there on Nam, fully there with Krishna, then realization begins to come. Right, so are there any questions? Yes, Krishna Chandra Babu.
You were saying before that Mantramaya Upasana, this means meditating on verses while chanting, actually starts on the level of Shakti.
He becomes, at that stage, he can actually do it. I mean, the actual experience of Mantramaya Upasana, in other words, the Leela pitch is manifest and he sees the Leela in that
So
stage.
why do we print like the books for Mantramaya Upasana like Bhajan Rahasya?
Yes, but you can see in Bhajan Rahasya, the first chapter is for devotees in the stage of the Anartha Nivritti. So you will not find a verse like this in chapter 1 of Bhajan Rahasya. In chapter 1 you will find verses like Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishna. The first verse is Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishna Sangho. That is making our shraddha in the name. That in this age of Kali, those who are intelligent will chant the holy name, giving us inspiration to chant more. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared to distribute praise to the name. So you'll find that in chapter 1. So that is it. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha is going on. Chapter 2 is Anartha Nivritti. So you'll find the verses there saying, oh, what is the use of this body, which is a contraption made of hundreds of joints and bones, which it will be turned into the stool of insects. There are certain thoughts to have to get one off the bodily platform, you'll find. Then in chapter 3, Trinadapi Sunichena, chapter 3, is discussing the humility and nishtha, steadiness in chanting Harinam and begging for the service of the Lord. Then you find chapter 4 of Bhajan Rahasya. Now the verses start to appear. Towards the end of chapter 4, like this, the end of chapter 4, Chittam Sukhena Bhavataritam Griheshu. You will find there a verse of Pranagit appears at the end of chapter 4. And then chapter 5, the root, this is Sakti. Chapter 4 is Ruchi. Chapter 5 is Asakti. And then you find verses like this. These verses come. Like this. So according to the stage. But before you come to that stage, hear the verses, learn them, think about them. The meaning of each word and each syllable. Sometimes you can chant them. But until the Ruchi begins, Ruchi is appearing and then Asakti is coming, the actual experience of what it is, Mantramaya Upasana, it will not be there. The actual experience. Is it clear?
Yes.
So Bhajan Rahasya is actually, you know, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has chosen exactly what kind of verses, what type of meditations guide us, what type of feelings to have when we chant the holy name in each stage of your devotional career. Very perfectly. That's why it's called Bhajan Rahasya, the secret of how to do bhajan. Yes, Prajanana.
So it's understood that we are supposed to die, to live, and forget everything else. But if some desires are still there, we cannot give them up. It is namaparat if we, so to say, want it from the holy name, but we're also not supposed to put our faith in Shubha Karma.
Yes.
So what should we do then?
You can, did everyone get the question? Everyone heard the question? So, you can pray to Nam. Oh Nam Prabhu, please take all desires out of my heart. Don't ask the name to fulfill anything. Krishna knows what you need. So generally, he will fulfill. If there's a desire, Nam will fulfill it. But don't consciously ask for that. Krishna is merciful. And generally, he will fulfill any desire you have in such a way that you'll never ask for that thing again.
I know that game. It works.
Very kindly. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Na danam na janam in shikshastakam, na danam na janam na sundarim kavatam ba jagadish kame, mama jamani jamani shvei bhavata bhakti hoitaki tvai. Oh my Lord, I don't want wealth, I don't want the followers and family members and all of these things. I don't want to become a great scholar. Kavitam Sundari means to be expert in beautiful poetry and all of these things. It's not so common in the West, but in India, it's extreme prestige to know the Alankar Shastra, the textbooks which describe poetic devices, literary ornaments. It's a very great science, and those who know that they're kept in very high esteem. So persons who are not interested in gross things, very often their feelings gravitate towards that kind of learning, which is like a prakrit rasa. There's a rasa in it, but it's a worldly rasa. So Mahaprabhu says, I don't want any of this. I just want that bhakti will spontaneously manifest in my heart, and I have a feeling of service to you without asking anything in return. So you can pray like this. But really that verse is the verse of the devotee in the stage of ruchi. It's the fourth verse of Shikshastakam. So you can say it, but it's not entirely what you're feeling. But it's an aspiration. I want to feel like this. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he prays, Aman Jivana Sadapapirata, like this. Ashesha Kamana Riddhi Rajivara Lobidamba Parayan. Oh my Lord, thousands of material desires are awakening in my heart moment by moment. I am very greedy and proud. So the conditioned soul is corrupt to the core. As long as you are conditioned, the soul is corrupt. One cannot even be sincere. But the only sincerity we can have is to come before the Lord and say, admit, I am not sincere. This is the best we can do. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given it. Oh my Lord, I am envious of others. When I see others are happy, I become upset. And when I see others are suffering, I think, very good. All these dark feelings that we're too ashamed to even admit to ourselves. Just go before the Lord and say, this is me. I am filthy and corrupt. Save me. This is as sincere as we can be. And if one will chant in such a humble mood, then definitely Krishna's mercy will come. Rupa Goswami says, Kripa, Kripa Anugamini. Kripa follows after the Kripana, the wretched person. One who knows that he is wretched, then mercy comes looking for him. But if mercy comes into your life and said, I'm looking for a wretched person, are you that person? No, not me. He is wretched. Mercy will go there if you come. Say, oh, I'm the wretched one. I'm the most wretched. Mercy, over here. You're looking for me. So kripa anugamini. The mercy is looking for the wretched person. So okay, let's go now. We complete our program here. I'd just like to invite devotees. Tomorrow afternoon we're going to Ticino, to Krishna Chandra's ashram, for 6 days of continuous kirtan and harikatha with no time restrictions. No time restriction at all. For 6 days. After that we have a Janmashtami festival in Ukraine also, and then Madrid Harikatha festival, 5 days in Madrid, and then Radhastami, Radharani's birthday, 5 days festival in Tenerife, in Canary Islands. So please come in Madrid. The festival is free festival, free prasadam, free everything. And if for camping, if you want to take a room, it's 6 rupees, it's 6 euros. 6 euros a day. Very inexpensive. So all the details on the notice board. Otherwise you can see myself will see Swarnalata if you want to attend. No time restriction, kirtan and harikatha. For Krishna's birthday, Ukraine, and Radharani's birthday in Tenerife, and in between Madrid, Brihuega, very close to Madrid. Oh, and another, I would like to invite everyone, please come to Vrindavan for Braj Mandal Parikrama, October 18th to November 16th, 1 month, walking through all, usually devotees go to Vrindavan, but Braj is not one Vrindavan, but 12 bans. Madhuvan, Talvan, Bahulavan, Kamyavan, Bandiravan, Mahavan. It takes 1 month to travel through all the forests where Krishna performed his pastimes. Hearing the pastimes of Krishna in the place where they are eternally taking place is the most powerful experience. Chanting and hearing the pastimes in the place where the pastime is actually happening, right now, is most powerful. So inviting devotees, please join us for complete 1 month Braj Mandal Parikrama. If you can only come for 1 or 2 weeks also, it's so.
And then?
Oh, after Braj Mandal Parikrama, then we have our retreat for 1 month in Radhakund. Radhakund 1 month retreat. So, if you want to stay. And then you can stay in Braj. I will go preaching for a few weeks and then come back. And then we continue our retreats in February. And then we'll go to Jagannath Puri. 2 weeks Jagannath Puri and 2 weeks Navadvip for complete Navadvip Mandal Parikrama. So my Gurudev, every year he used to do these 3 parikramas. Because 1 month Braj Mandal Parikrama, you can become absorbed in Krishna Lila. And 1 month Puri and Navadvip, you can become absorbed in Gaura Lila. And by this, one collects the incredibly powerful sanskars, incredible impressions. That wherever you are, if you are in Switzerland or Germany or Italy, when you close your eyes and chant, you will feel that you are still there in those very places of the pastimes of Krishna. So if you have the opportunity, if you can afford, otherwise if you cannot afford, you can sell your mother in the marketplace. And get a ticket and quickly come. The Transcendental Dharma is higher than the worldly Dharma. Actually, this is not my words. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati. He's written a poem called Vrindavan Mahima, the glories of Vrindavan. And then he goes like a madman. What did you do? Come to Vrindavan! You must come to Vrindavan. By hook or by crook. Thank you. So we'll sing 2 Mahamantras and then I have to go. Today I'm giving the program for the children.
No.
They are swimming in one lake nearby, so they will take me to a lake and I'll do a Jal Biha with the children. I have my swimming trunks here. I can only sing 2 mantras, then I have to go.